I'm Frank Amiro, and my hobby is model trains. And I'm here today in Milford, New Hampshire, and there's a big model train show and exhibit. And there's lots of children. There's Thomas the Tank as well for the children. There's all sizes, scales, and gauges. And I'm with Harriet. Harriet, I know, is a longtime friend of mine, and her husband's into model trains, and she's one of the people that helps provide lots of assistance in running around at these shows. So, Harriet, how are you today?
I'm fine, and you, Frank?
Good, good. Now, can you tell us something about the show? I don't want everybody to think we're hugging and kissing here because your husband's jealous and I'll get run over by a train. But tell us about the show.
This show here is our 8th annual in conjunction with the Milford Lions. And we've been doing this for the past 8 years in March. And what we're doing is trying to have a family-oriented show that families can feel free to bring their kids, enjoy, and make it feasible for everyone to be able to come without having to break the bank.
In the Lions Club, I guess many people know they do lots of things for people in the community, and I'm going to let these folks introduce themselves. I know the Lions do a lot of hard work. We'll start with the ladies first. You can just talk.
Okay. My name is Lion Sandy. I've been a member of the Milford Lions for 16 years. We're celebrating our 50th anniversary of service to our community. We're noted for the sighting, hearing, and we're also noted for doing projects within the community, putting in bathrooms, skate parks. We do the Christmas decorations on the Oval. We've been doing all this for 50 years. We supply a Christmas dinner to seniors at no cost to them every year, and our club does all the cooking themselves. This is our 8th year of the train show. The money that we raise here goes into all our projects, and it goes all back in the community. None of the monies that we receive are for ourselves. Mine, John?
Yeah, John, so...
Hi, John Miller. I've been a member of the club since 1976. As Sandy said, we do a lot of work in the community here locally. This is our 50th year, and we're going to build a park this year.
Oh, good.
With the help of the town, the Conservation Commission, and we're very excited about that. That is a real exciting
So how long have you been a
thing.
Lion?
Since 76.
76, so you must enjoy it?
Oh, yeah, it's a lot of fun. My children,
a lot of hard work?
Yeah, children used to come and work on projects with us. It's always been fun, yeah. A lot of
There's also Pete, and Pete's from Londonderry. So, Pete, how are you doing today?
Well, I'm doing great. I myself am not into diesels.
Oh, you're a steam guy.
I'm a steam guy. I just really love the old steam trains.
The Shea locomotive number 5 is yours?
That's mine, as well as the Mogul over here and
Mogul?
Constellation over there.
All right. Now, your wife told me, who's also at the show, that in Londonderry you have an outdoor railroad. You put down some track.
Yeah, I got the track down now. I still got a lot of landscaping and stuff to do for it, and a few other things to get it really ready. But I had one 5 years ago and decided I wanted it redone. You know, more of a landscape garden railroad rather than just a railroad in the garden.
I understand you built this module here.
Yeah, this was a representation of the station at White River Junction back in 1911 when it burned, and back in the 1900s, White River Junction had 5 different stations that 5 different lines that came together, and it was one of the major junction points in northern New England.
Now, I know we also have a famous landmark in Londonderry. You built that from scratch as well. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, I just used to drive by it. Well, I still drive by it all the time, and just love the look of that house. And so I took some pictures of it and went ahead and made a model of it. And one day I went and knocked on the door.
Oh, so that's you in the front step knocking on the door?
Yeah, it
then.
might have been me at the front step knocking on the door.
Okay, now we know who the guy in the front door is.
And the owner came out and just was amazed at the, how well it was replicated. Since then, I found lots of things I did wrong that need to be fixed, but I haven't gotten around to it yet. But I will.
All right. But over here, this is O gauge is known as the old Line L, and many people relate to Line L. And as you can see, I don't know, we'll probably show you some shots. It's 3-rail track, and we have the traditional track on the outside, and what they call fast tracks made by Line L on the inside. We also have a group called MTH, Mike's Train House, that makes his own track and everything, and all these railroad cars and engines are all compatible and run on the same track. Now there's 027, that means it'll probably run on a tabletop, and the O is a lot larger and higher rail than the 027. They call it scale, but it's really not scale. It's known as tin plate, and then scale is proportional, like if it's a foot to the, whatever the footage of the actual locomotive or railroad item is, it would be an inch to a foot scale, or et cetera, et cetera. And I'm probably going to get smoked out here by a live steam locomotive, but that's okay. It's all part of the hobby, and people enjoy it. The smoke is not toxic. Just kidding. But they're trying to smoke me out. Now, over here we have Pete, Jim, George, and Travis. They're all model railroad guys. And George is taking a moment out of enjoying his hobby. George, tell me a little bit about your hobby here. I know we've interviewed you before. And tell me what's the excitement in the model trains? What keeps you into it?
Actually, it's a lot of things.
Lots of things?
Yeah, it's learning about electricity. It's getting a chance to model different scenery. It's looking at the history of railroads and exploring that. There are a lot of different things involved in it. I enjoy all of them. So.
Well, that's great. Now, what do you do as a living? If you don't mind me asking, what is it? Anything to do with railroads?
No, as a matter of fact, it's not.
So this is relaxation.
I'm a semi-retired pharmacist. So.
Oh, good. As we see the trains going around here, now you got tank train. What makes you pick certain items that you like? Steam, diesel. What is it? Everything for you, or?
I'm more involved in the steam diesel transition era, the 50s and 60s. But Jim likes the more modern stuff. The tank train belongs to Jim, and he brought it today because he thought some of the folks here would enjoy it.
Right.
And we've already had several comments, good comments about it.
Oh, that's good. And here, I see.
Yes, yeah.
And you built this building behind us?
Yes, this is all handcrafted. It has a metal roof on it and actual sidings, shingle sidings on it.
Now, did you pick this as an actual building, or you just designed it yourself for the layout?
It's basically designed to fit the area.
So now I see we have a crane to the right, an old hand crank crane.
Oh yeah, that's...
prototypical?
Well, it would be, but on this particular scale, I'm working 7/8 inch to a foot. That is actually too small.
So now explain 7/8 of an inch to a foot, because I try to do it, but I want you to tell me now.
All right, 7/8 inch to a foot is every 7/8 of an inch is equal to 1 foot in the scale.
Of a real piece of equipment.
Of a real piece of equipment. So most people are familiar with doll houses. Doll houses are basically, they call it 1 to 12. It's 1 inch equals 12 inches. So it's the same sort of ratio. I'm just a slight bit smaller than that.
And the scale guys, everything is precise to the speck of the scale, right?
I try to keep close, but
keep close, yeah.
That dollhouse stuff is so easy to integrate into this.
All right. Well, thank you for your time. We're going to do some walking around.
Okay.
This is live steam, which is very interesting. And Larry, being you're the president,
yes,
can you please tell us something about this and your association with this?
Absolutely. We're all members of the New Hampshire Garden Railway Society. On this particular module, we run live steam trains as a rule at this venue. And what we mean by live steam is these are real miniature operating steam locomotives. So they're powered by steam. The fuel source on the ones that we're running today would be butane. Some of them in this scale will be coal and or alcohol fired. We tend not to run those at a show like this for safety reasons.
Yeah, we just had a safety thing down there with that spark.
There you go.
We saw the flash.
So the butane will fire and heat water in the boiler of these engines, which will then get mixed with a little bit of oil, which will pass through to the cylinders, which will power the engines and pull the trains.
Like an actual
operating steam locomotive. These engines will operate roughly in about 40 pounds of pressure. A lot of them will operate efficiently down to 20 pounds or much more. They have safety valves on them so that they'll release excess pressure. Depending on the various types and styles of locomotives, they're all models of actual locomotives from around the world. We'll get anywhere from maybe a 20-minute run to sometimes better than an hour out of each steaming with an engine. They'll pull a number of cars. Some of the larger engines, this one here is called a Bay Garrett, it's from South Africa, would be pulling very long and large trains, a very big, heavy, powerful locomotive. It's what we call a rod type locomotive versus ones like this one here. Our geared locomotives would be used for logging or mining operations.
Now, my understanding is the most powerful steam locomotive in the world is a Shay, and that's basically a Shay locomotive we're looking at. Is that true?
I guess, depends how you define power, but yes, as far as what it can pull in the areas that it pulls, because it's a geared locomotive, they were designed to basically pull, for the most part, logs out of the woods. They were designed such that they could go up very steep inclines, very tight curves, on very poor trackage.
Right. Tell me now, here's a bottle in front of me.
Right.
Now, what's the significance of this bottle?
Well, you've got to be able to put water into your boiler. Before you steam it initially, the boiler will be filled, except for a small cavity of air at the top, so there's a room for steam to be made. And then while they're in operation, we need to refill these engines in one or more ways. Some of them have axle pumps that will refill the boilers. Some of them are equipped with what we call a Goodall valve, and we'll use a bottle like this because it's got enough pressure with this fitting to fit into the valve to be able to push water into the boiler while it's under pressure, and it won't back release. One of the advantages to the garden railway trains, or many people call these G scale or gauge 1, we call them, is that you can integrate these into a garden. I started out with very small trains, N-scale HO, as did many guys in this size trains.
Well, you younger guys, I was into American Flyer
or
and
Lionel,
correct.
So we started with stuff that was smaller. One of the advantages to this type of train is my wife and I have jointly built 4 railroads together.
Oh, that must be fun.
And it's the kind of thing that she enjoys because we're doing something in our yard. We're not just building the railroad, we're building water features, we're building patios, we're building gardens around them. So it's actually a nice blend in the hobby for husbands and wives to do it together.
Now I know nothing about trains,
okay,
and I'm watching this, man, woman, or child, and I said, geez, I'd like to have something like that, but I don't have a large layout.
Yes.
Can I join this club? What do you need for membership? Tell me.
What we do is we welcome people of all ages. Our membership on an annual basis is $25. That's for a family. So if you've got mom, dad, son, they want to come in, we've got a website. New Hampshire Garden Railway's website is nhgrs.com. One of the advantages to this club is we've got many members who have joined who did not have their own railroad, may not have had their own engines or rolling stock, but they wanted to come play with trains. Well, we offer a venue for that. At this show alone, our club is operating 3 different railroads at this venue, so there's plenty of places to play.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, now we're with HO, which HO stands for half O. You've seen O gauge, which is 3 rail, and scale, which is 2 rail O. But this here is HO, meaning half O again. And this is very detailed. These modules are by a former policeman from Manchester named Ed. and he's embarrassed to come on camera, so I got someone here that will get on camera. And this is the Bedford Boomers module. So how are you, sir? What's your name?
My name is Doug Fraser.
Doug? And Doug, I know you, and I know you do a lot of hand-laid track, and I envy what you do because I don't have the patience. I have problems putting snap track together. So tell me why you like hand-laid track.
It's much more flexible. A lot of the ready-made track that's like an 18-inch radius, you're confined to the 18-inch radius. If you use flex track, you can go from 18 up to 48 inches to whatever you need, and you can cut it to size, so you're not confined to a specific radius.
Now, Ed has some very very scaled out stuff, very detailed.
Yeah, he's very good at what he does.
Now, that's something you would enjoy, I guess, being you hand-laid track too, right?
Yeah, I've got some modules here in the show, but I guess my problem is that I like to build the modules more than I like to scenic them.
I see.
And a lot of people come to me looking for a module, so I'll build them the module and do the track work, and then they'll do the scenic work on it. But Ed's done all his own. He's very good at what he does.
I know. I've seen at a couple of shows, as people know, that I've been associated very well with the Bedford Boomers, and I think that anybody that likes model trains or any kind of interest or anything, they should become a boomer. It doesn't cost anything. There's no dues, no nothing. Come out and just enjoy trains. And like I said in another segment, probably Mr. Model Railroad, who isn't here today, Bill Trueheart, who's like the ace of aces when it comes to trains. And we all miss Bill, and I know he's recovering, and we all wish him well.
He's doing much better.
That's good. And so to be a Bedford Boomer, what would you say to somebody that's watching this and says, like, geez, I'm interested in that, but I don't have room, I can't display my trains. How can I be interested in this? What part can they play?
Well, you don't need a layout to become a member. In fact, you don't even need a trains at the moment. We've had some young fellows starting to join us now to fill in. The group is getting much older, because it gets more difficult as we get older to move stuff around.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Or crawl underneath the modules.
Exactly, yeah, be on your back all day, whatever. And we are a no-dues group. We have no offices. We meet every fourth Tuesday of the month at the Bedford Library in Bedford.
In the beginnings, there was power packs, DC, and like you said, there was blocks that would run. Now it's DC, which is digital command, so you can run so many on a track. How do you feel about that? Do you like it better? I mean, the sounds are great, the bells, whistles, and some smoke and everything, all controlled by a handheld,
all
correct?
All be controlled by a handheld throttle, such as this one here. In fact, we can control two trains at the same time with this particular control. And we can also join two locomotives, or three locomotives, or four locomotives in what we call a multiple unit consist, so that they all are pulling that long train.
Right. And what is it? The handhelds, even though it runs two locomotives at the same time, you can set up like 6 locomotives at one address or a couple of addresses on one control, right?
Well, what you do basically is add those addresses to the lead locomotive's address.
Oh, I see. And if I didn't know anything, I come see you fellas at the club and tell you I'm interested in joining, and you'll make it easy for me?
We certainly try.
One thing I know about, I'm interrupting, I know, but one thing I learned from you is one time you told me there were 5 railroads used to run through Nashua, New Hampshire, And I got to say, you know, I've been watching how many railroads did run through Nashua. And it's amazing. All the railroads are gone except, well, one little one maybe, an Amtrak on the East Coast here.
Right. Well, in Nashua, there was the Nashua and Lowell. There was the Montreal and Concord. There was the Worcester and Nashua. There was the Nashua, Acton, and Boston, which never got to Boston. There was the Nashua and Rochester. There was the Nashua and Lowell.
So there were more than 5.
And they eventually all were merged as a result of leases from the Boston and Maine Corporation, which of course is now part of what is called Pan Am Rail.
Well, I know I go down there and I see once in a while some Burlington Northern engines coming in from out west, and they call them pulling them, so they just run the engines in, but they can only go as far as Nashua because some of the engines are too big to go, I don't know, up to the, what is it, Bow?
It's the Bow Power Plant in Bow, New Hampshire. I don't know about whether they have to take locomotives off or not, but they do pull. I've seen 6-axle units heading up on the so-called coal train all the way up to Bow.
Well, I was telling you folks before that I knew some youngsters that were young, and they were yay high up to my waist, and here they are now, 2 brothers, and they're very involved in model trains, as is their dad, and I'll let them introduce themselves. They're both from Londonderry. You first, your name?
I'm Connor Marr.
Connor Marr?
Yep.
All right, and you are?
I'm Cullen Marr.
Cullen Marr. All right, so I guess you're twins?
Yeah.
Pretty close, huh?
Yeah, except he's a little bit taller.
He's taller? He cheated. He's standing on a box, but we won't say nothing.
Yeah, some people grow faster than others.
That's it. And the other thing I want to ask you is now, I've seen you at all the model train shows that I go to, so I know you have a big interest in it. What do you like about model trains?
Well, it's a really fun hobby. It's like a great recreation for like adults and kids alike, for what it can just simply just go around driving trains and just enjoying themselves.
Yeah, and you, same thing?
Yeah, pretty much the same thing.
Because I know I was at North School one year, and I had some American Flyer in a circle, and one of you 2 fellas, I think it was you, actually came up, and I've watched you at these shows that wherever there's a train, you 2 fellas are there. You're very fascinated about it. And
yeah.
Do you like live steam?
Yep.
What train don't you like?
Like, I would have to say probably Lionel, like I said
3
before.
rail.
Yeah. You don't go around seeing
that's what they
3-rail
call
trains.
the old toy train or tin plate. And because of Lionel, I have to say I'm not a big Lionel fan myself because I like other rails too. But because of Lionel and Mr. Cowan, this is all available today. And I just interviewed your 2 boys, and I got to say they're great young gentlemen. And to me, the hobby of model railroading really does bring families together. Some people don't understand that, but I've watched your boys grow up almost as much as you did, and wherever I go at a train meet or something, they're there, you're there. You're from Londonderry, and
right.
What's your involvement in trains? What got you interested?
Well, actually, the kids were what started it. We bought them the Brio trains early on, my oldest, and just kept adding to it, and then grew into going to train shows and then seeing real trains.
All right. Well, we have a little switching layout here, and I guess, Pete, tell us something about this module of yours and why you built it and what you enjoy about it.
Well, this is a complete model railroad in 6 feet length. It's designed as what they call a switching puzzle. It's set up so the cars can move back and forth one at a time by using the locomotive. And I enjoy it primarily because it is a lot of fun.
You're the engineer in that engine, is that it?
I'm the engineer, I'm the conductor, I'm the trainman, I'm the guy on the ground, pretty much everything.
So now, tell me a little bit about what you're doing here with this pacemaker New York Central boxcar.
Well, primarily what I'm doing with this is moving it around from one track to another.
And what's the reason for that?
Well, typically when you're switching cars, you do that to make up trains. so that you're starting to put cars in a certain order for another locomotive to come in and pull them off the layout into a different destination than here. So essentially what I'm doing is I'm starting the process of making up a train by moving cars around to allow me to do that.
So we're assuming that these boxcars are loaded and they're headed from this destination to points west or south, and then they'll be broken up again to go west and south. Is that basically the concept?
That is correct, yes.
So what do we have in these boxcars being they're loaded? Give me an idea.
Well,
from rags to riches, right?
Well, this particular mill structure here is called Mallet Mills. Their primary product is fried duck pieces for Chinese restaurants.
Very good.
So one of these cars is full of ducks to be processed into fried duck pieces. The other is loaded with fried duck pieces to be shipped out to Chinese restaurants around the country.
So if we took that Warren car and made it a milk container car, we can have milk and quackers then, huh?
Milk and quackers, you could indeed.
There you go. All right, well, now that locomotive you're using, the steam locomotive, was that one that was particularly used for this type of switching? I mean, you do things seem pretty prototypical.
Yes, this particular locomotive is based on a USRA design, which was a standardized design of steam locomotive created back in the early 1900s. The idea behind it being that a railroad could take one and customize it to its own particular purpose. This particular one is very similar to one we have in North Conway at Conway Scenic Railroad, which I have used for switching at full size.
Oh, you do full size too?
Yes, I try to replicate that activity here on this layout.
Oh, so maybe we can get Phil and Heather to come up to Conway and sit in a locomotive with you one day.
Well, you'll sit with somebody, probably not me, but
all right,
because I'm usually on the ground. So,
well, maybe we can walk through there one day. I see everybody likes the Boston and Maine because this is the territory for Boston and Maine.
Yes.
So, well, thank you very much, Pete.
Well, thank you.
Nice. Have fun and make sure that everybody gets their stuff to the proper destination, and maybe we'll get some more railroading back here in New England as well.
We're looking forward to getting these fried duck pieces out of here real quick.
That's good. I won't go to the Chinese restaurant until they're there. Thank you. We're at a layout of model trains here that are wood or push, no electric. There's some electric displayed here. And this is for the youth so that they get interested in model trains. And you'll see Thomas the Tank is here as well, who's been a great promoter of trains. And the gentleman I want to speak to was some of his young men in here that enjoy trains. As you can see, there's children playing with trains here of all sizes, ages, women, boys, girls, they're all here. And is your name Tom, is it?
Tom, yes.
Tom, now I understand these are all yours?
Suzanne's mostly, I help Suzanne, the two of us put the trains together. We've been doing a couple of shows like this for several years, yes.
Okay, now do you set these up at your house as well?
Suzanne does. Yeah.
Suzanne does?
Yeah.
So behind every successful model railroad is a woman, huh?
Yes, yes.
Well, that's good.
Sometime or later there
This
is.
is Adam. Yeah, Adam's the main train man here.
Yeah.
Adam's the train
These trains
guy?
are actually all mine.
Yeah.
They're all yours?
Yep, everything here.
Oh, all right. And what's your interest in trains?
Adam's my friend.
You're just with your friends?
Yeah.
All right. And you?
I just come here.
Just like trains. You don't even like trains, but they got you.
He used to like trains.
He used to. That's
Yeah.
good. That's good. So I understand that you have a lot to do with this and that you set up these trains as well?
Yeah, these are all my son's trains, and basically we've been doing a couple of shows a year for about 4 or 5 years now.
Now, how do you feel? Do you enjoy this?
Oh yeah, trains are wonderful. I mean, they're great toys for everybody from the little kids on up to the big adults that you see out there. And there isn't anybody that doesn't like trains.
Right, and I think it's the bells, the whistles, the sound.
And the hands-on and the interactive and just the fact that you can touch them, and the kids really have a great time playing with the toys.